All right, hello. This is Emily Francis. Welcome to my working space. We are going to wait just about 5 minutes for 2 o'clock to get here and we get started. Enjoy my midday cup of coffee and my shout out to Yellow Chat Book Club mug. Hope everyone is doing okay. I'm nervous. I don't know why. Looks like there's a chat here for anyone who wants to join in the chat. If you're watching live, of course. If you're not, then you can't chat, but you can comment on the video below. Oh, in the background, you'll see my children and my daughter's decorations and some of my stuff and my books too. It's 1:56. I might have logged in a little too early. It's okay. Wow. See, 3 people are watching already. Come on to the chat and say hi. I do notice that if you go on your phone, yes, you can watch the video, but you can't comment. I haven't figured out how to do that. If you're watching on your cell phone, how do you comment on videos? Or how do you enter the live chat? I don't think you can do that, but oh well. Send me a tweet or a message letting me know who you are if you're watching live. I've promoted this on my class Facebook, on Twitter, my professional Twitter. I haven't posted it on my personal Facebook. I should have done that, but it's okay. Oh, Instagram too. I have a class Instagram, so I posted it there. It's 1:57. Ooh, I got 4 people now watching. Thank you so much for joining us or joining me. So today is, and I'll share this later when I start at 2 o'clock, but it's International Children's Day, Children's Book Day, Book Day. And I am so excited about it when I found out. So I've been tweeting all day books that I have at home that I wanted to share, but I have so many more books in my classroom that I really wanted to share, but I can't go to my classroom to get them. But I've shared at least the ones I have here at home. So happy International Children's Books Day. I love children's books. I've used them for elementary students and I use them now for high school students. They're just wonderful to use for any lesson or for a lot of lessons. But I had to stop saying And if you're watching this, I'm sorry, I had to go in live a few minutes early just because I wanted to make sure everything was okay before we start our story at 2 o'clock. So there's about 5 minutes with just me filling in time. So I have 5 people watching me live. Oh my goodness, I wish I knew who that was. Send me a tweet or something. I'm like dying of them. But it's okay. Thank you for tuning in and joining me today. It's 1:59. We'll go ahead and get started soon, in about a minute. So if you maybe want to post a comment on the video below or join the live chat, go ahead and do that. You can also ask questions during the live chat, or maybe we can chat and answer those questions when we're done. Oh, John Silence is watching. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that. Thank you. I feel like I'm just talking to myself here. Valentina, hello, my friend. Oh my goodness. All right, it is 2 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to my working space, my home. I am super excited to be making this video today. And if you're watching me, thank you. And if you watch the video later, thank you. So today is National Children's Book Day. What an exciting day. When I found out about this day, that today was celebrated, I started looking at home for what books I wanted to share today because I love children's books. It's just like I own a ton of children's books and I own a lot of culturally responsive books, and I have them all in my classroom, and no one is a school, so it's not like I could go there and get them. But luckily, I have a 6-year-old who has a bookshelf, and I started looking through her books and I found a few of them, and I've been tweeting some of those books today, and I'll be sharing some more later. It's such a great day to be celebrating children's literature. They're important for elementary, middle school, high school. I use them for all children. But today, I have such a special book to show you. And John Seidlitz sent it to me. And as soon as I got it, I put it on my bookshelf. I'll get to it. I'll get to it. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I finally got to it. And let me tell you, as soon as I started reading this book, I was bawling my eyes out. I was crying. It's such an amazing book. And I thought, God, the world needs to know about this book. So I sent a message to John Silence and I asked him, can I share your book, on social media? Because it's such an important book. So here am I sharing the book today. It's called Sometimes. And it is by Hugo Ibarra and John Seidlitz. And it's beautifully, beautifully illustrated by Katia Lara. Just look at the cover, how beautiful the colors. You can see the culturally responsiveness. I can see students just looking at the cover and saying, oh my gosh, that looks like me. I want to read that book. Oh, I'm familiar with the background. And it's just a book that is important to have in classrooms. And let me tell you, if you're a social worker, if you're a guidance counselor, an elementary teacher, a middle school, high school teacher, you need to have these principles. You need to have this book. You need to read it. And I'm going to just go through the book and read it. But after the book, I'm going to have some time to answer some questions that even I had when I finished reading the book, and I had to answer those questions myself as I finished reading the book. So if you want to just log out after we finished the read aloud, perfect. If you want to hang out to hear the answers to some of those questions that we had, you can just stick around. Okay. So the theme that the International Children's Book has for this year for International Children's Book is a hunger for words. And I think we all have this hunger for words. That's why we are readers. That's why we are drawn to books and wanting to read some more. But I also think there's a hunger for culture, a hunger for identity, a hunger for understanding who we are. And that's why it's so important for books to be in the classroom that represent our students. And without further ado, here it is. Let's go ahead and read Sometimes by Hugo Ibarra and John Seidlitz. And I love how it is dedicated, look, for our students. Because when John wrote this, he was a teacher, and it's based on Hugo Ibarra's personal life. So, of course, why wouldn't you dedicate this for children and students? I used to believe things will turn out the way I wanted, that dreams would always come true. Here's my story. It all begins in San Felipe, Mexico. Do you think Dad will be home when we come back from school? I asked my mom. I'm not sure, Andres. I'm just not sure anymore, she said. 4 months had gone by since my dad left San Felipe to find work in Texas, in the United States. My dad was still sending us money every week, and all we had to do was go to a local store and get it. Until one day the cashier told Mom that nothing had been sent to us that week. I had the feeling that something was not okay. I knew my mom was worried. After a difficult month, without news or money from Dad, something would have to happen. Something would have to happen. Something would have to change. Take a very close look at the beautiful illustration that speaks so much to us. A few days later, my sister Clara and I came back from school and found my tia Elena at the house. It was strange to see her. We knew she lived in Texas, and we were used to seeing her around Christmas time, but it wasn't Christmas yet. Mom explained that we will be leaving with my aunt the next morning and that my dad was not coming back. We could not believe the news. We did not want to leave without Mom. Mom promised that she will meet us in Texas later that month. Clara and I did not sleep that night. What now? We wondered. The next morning, we packed up our things and got ready. We hugged Mom goodbye and got into Tia's car. When the car started moving, we saw our mom waving at us. I was not really sure that things would be okay anymore. My sister Clara wouldn't stop crying. After several hours in the car, my tia explained that we were getting closer to the border and handed us two small booklets. Take these, Aunt Elena said. You will probably need them when we get to the border. We finally arrived at a huge concrete bridge with a long line of cars, police officers, dogs, and helicopters flying really low. So this is the border, I said to myself. It was our turn to cross the bridge, and a tall officer wanted to know where we were going. The officer looked at our documents, turned toward my tia, and asked her some questions. He said something to us, but we did not understand him. After looking at our documents for what seemed a long time, he turned around, smiled, and said, "Welcome to the United States." I'm sorry, I get emotional. Told you this is a great book. A few minutes later, my aunt pulled over to the side of the road. She started crying and praying. We finally got to my tia's house about 8 hours later. She told us that we will be going to school the following week. On Monday, my tia took us to school by her house. Everything looked different from San Felipe. Everyone speaking English. Clara and I sat on a bench while Tia Elena filled out some paperwork. After a while, the secretary walked us to our classroom. We were terrified. We dropped off Clara in a classroom and told her that I will see her after school. We then went to my classroom. As we opened the door, the secretary explained to the teacher, Mr. Trevor, that I was a new student. No te preocupes, que todo va a estar bien, he said to me in Spanish with an American accent. Do not worry, everything is going to be fine. We are going to take care of you and your sister. I immediately felt at ease. It was the first time I had smiled in days. We finished the day and went home, hoping that my mom would be there. But she wasn't. The teachers at school kept helping us catch up and learn English. Some would even stay and work with us after school. Mr. Trevor said that I should always work hard. He said it will help me make my dreams come true. Christmas came and went, and eventually it was the end of the school year, but my mom did not show up. I wasn't sure I believed Mr. Trevor anymore. One gray day, the following November, Clara and I were on the bus going home from school. As I looked through the window, I could not believe what I saw. As we approached my tia's house, standing at tia's door was my mom, waiting for us. She looked very tired and a little older. She ran toward the bus, and Clara and I ran toward the door, ignoring the driver's orders to wait for the bus to stop. We jumped off the bus, hugged Mom, and cried for a long time, not wanting to let go. I missed you so much, she said with a broken voice. Clara and I could not stop crying. We spent the rest of the afternoon talking to Mom. She told us about how difficult her trip to Texas had been and how she had never stopped thinking about us. We did not want to go to bed that night, but mom insisted that we had get a good rest to be ready for school the next day. I dreamed that night. I was at my fifth grade graduation. Clara, Tia Elena, Mr. Trevor, and mom were all there. I suddenly woke up and noticed that the sun was already out. I was sweating and jumped out of bed, wondering if the day before had been a dream. When I got to Clara's room, she was still in bed and no one else was around. I panicked. And then I heard my mom's voice calling my name from the kitchen. I ran to her and gave her a big hug. She made me eat breakfast and get ready for school. I wasn't hungry, but I ate everything anyway. She was really there. Right before the bus picked us up, I asked my mom, "Will you be here when we get back from school?" "Of course I will," mom said, and she kissed us goodbye. As I entered the building, I had a big smile on my face. Maybe Mr. Trevor was right, I thought. And dreams do come true sometimes. The end. Oh my goodness. I gotta grab my tissue. And if you do not grab a tissue, I'm not sure why not, because it's such a sensitive book. I'm sorry I had to cry through it. It's just such a great book and such a reflection of so many of our students and such a reflection of my life. So as I read it, look, this is like the fourth, fifth time I read it, and I get so emotional. And it's so important for identity to be reflected in books because it validates experiences. It validates that anything and everything our families had gone through and experienced are validated. There's nothing more so powerful than opening a book and turning the pages and seeing your life and experiences reflected in text. Thank you, Hugo Ibarra. Thank you, John Seidlitz, because this is a wonderful book that the world needs. And I was reading some of the reviews and some of the questions that they had. Oh, but there's so many questions that were not answered. And I don't understand this and I don't understand that. You know why you don't understand it? Because you haven't lived it. You don't know your students' stories. If you would know your students' stories, if you would validate their life's experiences, when you read a book like this, you would understand what is happening. You won't leave it as a unanswered question. So what I want to do is I want to go through, because this is a story where these children are being impacted by their teachers and parents together. They're inspiring children to have hope, to be courageous, to have the strength. And that's what our children need right now to be able to get through anything that comes their lives, whether it's what's happening right now and they don't have technology to access what they need, or whether they are home and parents have lost their jobs. They have us as teachers posting encouraging words, and they have parents at home who are also encouraging them through this difficult difficult time. So what I want to do is I'm going to go through some of these pages. And this is the end of our read aloud. And now it's just me giving my opinion. So disclosure there, this is all my opinion and how I take it. So here, I want to show you how this picture right here, and that's what illustrate. I mean, Katia, Lara, just kudos to you. These illustrations just speak so much to me. But here is Clara. You can see how she has food on the table. You see how she has eggs and panito right there. Qué rico. Mira cómo están comiendo. Tienen comida. Why do they have food? Because dad was sending them money. Dad left them. You know, this right here is an opportunity to talk to children about there are families back home receiving money from parents who are working hard here so they have something to eat in their countries. I lived it. My mother was sending me money so I can at least have a chair to sit and have some food. But at the same time, even though he had food in his belly, you know, Andres was thinking, where's dad? When is he coming back? So there's still that worry. You know, kids are worried about when is their parent coming back home. And so here we, you know, I love this page because if you are ever telling your students to draw pictures about what their home looks like, I would love to see something like this, something that they remember what their neighborhood looks like. Look at this, it's a bodega, and you know, like the store and the people walking. What do they remember from back home? Right here, look at this picture. What happened when dad stopped sending money? There was no food. There was one loaf of bread and a few cans of seguramente frijoles. They were beans because what else can you buy with no money, right? And he said something would have to change. He knew that they didn't have any money. The mom was crying. She was worried. She's going to have to make a decision. I remember my mother sitting at a table like this, where there was no food on the table. There was nothing to eat. And the only choice was to leave the country and come to the United States. So this is the time where our parents start making the decisions for what's best for us. And here it is. And you know, some of the questions that reviewers had is, oh, what happened to dad? They never told us what happened to dad. You can predict. What do you think happened? Well, two things. He died, and I can tell that because look over here, the light. See how the illustrator drew the light, the candelas? Maybe she was praying because he died. Maybe. And they didn't tell that to the kids because in our culture, you're not told everything. You are just told what your parents want to tell you, and you have to be okay with that. The children were just being told that they were going to go, and they don't ask questions. You just follow your parents' instructions, and that is honoring your parents. See right here, the children are not being asked, do you want to go to the United States? No. Mom was making what she thought was best for children. And that's something we need to honor with our parents. Let's not judge. Why did they just left them? Why did they just send them away? Because when a parent is by herself, not knowing what to do, they just make the best decision that is for their children. Right here, oh my gosh, look at this. The only one crying was Clara. Why was Andres not crying? I'll tell you why he wasn't crying in that picture. Suppressed feelings. That's trauma. That's trauma. Because he had to be strong. He had to hold himself up for his sister. He was an older brother. That was me. I have to hold my sister's hands and say, hey, we're just going to get in that car and hold on to hope that we're going to meet mom. That's what happened to Andres. He was holding on to hope and being the strong brother for Clara. Now here, one of the questions that some reviewers have, oh, illegal immigrants in children's book. First of all, it's not illegal immigrants. Let's use the correct word, is undocumented. And we don't know if they were documented or not. They were blue passports, so maybe they were United States born and they just went back to Mexico and that's where they lived. So we can assume that. And if they were undocumented, so what? We don't ask our children, hey, do you have papers or not so I can educate you? Here in the United States, I think it's important for us to know whether our students have documentation or not so we can provide them with the best advice and support. But at the same time, we don't use that to judge them or to put it all over social media like some teachers have done. Sorry, I had to throw that out there. Okay. This page right here. What do you notice? Nothing culturally relevant. You see that? The kids are enrolling, they're coming from another country. And what Andres said? He said, everything looked different from San Felipe. Different. You know what that means? That when children are being enrolled and they're sitting there all scared and panicked, they're looking around the office to see something that can identify who they are so they can hold on to that something and say, oh, that's my flag. Oh, that's my map. Oh, that's something that belongs to me, that represents me. So be very aware of culturally responsive as a school, not as a classroom, as a school. Make sure that your students, new students walking and are being enrolled, are not being shocked by just the American way, and just have something to represent the students. Oh my gosh. See this page right here? When I read it, I had to close this page and cry. This is what some of you advocate teachers do. You get on your knees and you see a student eye to eye and say, vamos a estar bien. Estás bien. Bienvenido. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Whatever word that you can come up with, whether it's in their home language or not, even if it's just in English, get to their level and make sure they feel that they belong. Because what did Andres say as soon as he finished telling him welcome? He said, I immediately felt at ease. He felt that he was going to be okay. You see that power, that responsibility that you have as a teacher? I've seen teachers opening the door. A newcomer will walk in and all they say is, here, sit over there. That desk is available. That's it. Instead of saying, welcome, my name is so-and-so. Here's my classroom, our classroom. That's what we have to do. Exactly what Mr. Trevor did. I love it. I love it. Separation anxiety right here. You can see Andres's face. He's not even talking to Clara. There's a family separation emotionally going on. And that happens in our household with our students, where they're thinking, where's mom? Where's dad? And there's so much going on. And you're as a teacher thinking, oh, why isn't Andres doing homework? Why isn't Andres doing his reading log? Why isn't Andres logging into Google Classroom to do his assignments? This is why, because there's so much going on in his life that the last thing that he wants to do is go to Google Classroom. Sorry. Look at this. Does that look like you, teacher, passionate teacher, staying after school, making sure that your students are learning the English that they need and encouraging them with words that their dreams will come true? How beautiful is that? The responsibility that we have to be able to care for our children. Here, was mom undocumented? Did she cross the border to get there? Yes. Is that okay to be in a book? Yes. Because it happens. It's real life. And how do I know that? She looked tired. She looked older. She stayed back home and worked for a whole year. God knows how much she had to work to be able to make it there to see her children. I cry because I remember this moment with my mother. It was a day that you just don't forget. That day when you hug them and it comes true. Here, you know how some teachers thinking, oh, parents just don't care about their children's education. Look right here. Mama is telling them, you need to go to bed. You need to get a good night rest because you're going to school. That is education. She didn't sit down to read a book. She didn't sit down to do math. She said, you need to go to bed so you can be rested to school. That is education. That's parent engagement. So that's it. I think those were all the comments I had. I can't read the book and read your comments at the same time. So I'll probably have to go back and look at all of your comments here. But it looks like y'all, look at you. Carly's here. Carol, oh my goodness. Thank you so much for joining me. I want to see if there's a question here that you have that I can answer you. But if you, oh, let me just tell you, guess what? This book está en español a veces. Oh my gosh, I have to get it. And yeah, and when I get it, you probably have to wait for another video. I'll make another video with that book en español because it's so important for our kids to have and to read. So I guess this is it. I'm going to go through the questions, and if there are any questions that I can answer, I'll put them in the comments below. Thank you for joining me, and stay tuned. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, and just if you have any questions, let me know. All right. Bye. Thank you for joining me.